Okay, so, for people who don't know, which I'm be very surprised if you guys don't know, I am a Pokemon nerd. Um, so, with that being said, I'm not just, like, I am a Pokemon nerd, but I am more of, like, I like the Pokemon TCG a lot more. And I have recently been trying to build a Joltik deck. This Joltik from Stellar Crown. And I built it. I did like a minor change. I have it right here from the actual meta one. Which instead of putting in a second Iron Hands, or no, a second Pikachu and a Virizion, I put in Yanma and Yanmega, both from the Destined Rivals, because it takes grass energy and it's able to move those grass energy to him. And if he's not one shot the next turn, here I'll put the thing right up here. I'm doing a lot of pictures for editor me, but I'll read it to you. Once during your turn, this is ability. Once during your turn, when this Pokemon moves from your bench to the active spot, you may search your deck for up to 3 basic grass energy cards, attach them to this Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. Then the Jet Cyclone takes 3 grass, 1 basic. That's 210, so actually pretty good for stage 2. And says move 3 energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon. So, with that being said, it's good acceleration for Yanmega, and also partially for all the other cards, considering we have Galvantula in this deck, and there's also Iron Hands too. So you could, and basically move 3 energies to Iron Hands, and then have 1 electric energy. You're basically using its best attack on there. It also is a very good attacker because for being a stage 2, it's pretty bulky, having 280 health and 210. So, I have been really liking building decks. Been really fun. I enjoy the Pokemon TCG a lot, but something I have been noticing is that for like a lot of single price cards are like not really meta. There was a good meta deck called it was a Feraligatr deck from Temporal Forces, but after rotation, it kind of just stopped being meta. It only popped up for 1 regional, and like Tim Dinklin said, I'll have his channel in the description. He's a really cool YouTuber. I've never met him, but I like his videos. But like he said, Feraligatr appeared once, dominated the meta, and all of a sudden just disappeared. Which I find pretty weird because there's been a couple of Feraligatr enjoyers scouring the internet, going through the internet and playing the games and playing in my local tournaments, but there's only been roughly around a few, and I kind of want to make a meta deck. A while back I made a Kingdra deck, but I did not post it on YouTube because 1, it wasn't really good. It was just, to have fun. 2, and 2, there's someone who already beat me to it. I'm not gonna say their name, but if you know who this is, like, saying I'm mad at them, but like I was already beaten to it, and wasn't even really a meta deck. They even said that it's pretty difficult to make Kingdra. Like, I'm using one for Paradox Rift, the one who has World Tide. So they even said that it's really difficult to find cards that pair up with him, and it's just, yeah, it was even Destined Rivals after its release, because Energy Cycler just had a copy of it out. So so I built the Kingdra deck, but I realized I don't really have any other like EX Pokemon that I have a lot of. I tried building the Banette deck. It was good. It got 1 win, but it was against someone who was new to plain Raging Bolt, had 8 Pokemon in it, and they only had like Teal Mask, Ogerpon, 4 Teal Mask, and 4 Raging Bolt, and they still took 5 prize cards. So the net is not really a meta deck, but it also, the Pokemon in there, my strategy for it, not really good. It's just not all out exciting. So my main point is there's not a lot of single prize decks out there, and there's not a lot of cards that benefit from other Pokemon that people use. Except for a card that was in Destined Rivals. Probably a lot of people skimmed over it. It's not a common card, it's a holo. I think there's a reverse holo of it, but I only have a holo copy of it. But I looked at this card and thought, I want to build a deck out of this once I saw it on TCG Player. It was about like maybe the day no, not TCG Player, it was TCG Online. It was my first pack on there. It was the day that the set was released on the app, was released on the game, and I got it. I'm like, I want to build a deck out of this, because it's a lot like for Alligator, but in my opinion, it's a lot better. And the reason why I say this is because it is the fighting Pokemon Annihilate. Its move, okay, so its ability, Lose Cool. It says Pokemon has 2 or more damage counters on it. Attacks used by this Pokemon do 120 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. Now, it's just like for Alligator, except for one misconception, is that for Alligator puts damage counters on itself, and Annihilate needs damage counters on itself. Now, you might be thinking like, yeah, that's cool and all, but how does it get the damage counters on itself? Well, just like for Alligator deck, we use Relicanth, and you can use either one of these cards. I'm using both of them in this deck, but you can either use the Mankey from 151, which does 20 plus, or you can use the Mankey from Scarlet Violet base set. The base set one is the one I was going after originally, because its Monkey Beatdown 30, uses Monkey Beatdown, which does 30 damage and takes 1 fighting energy. This attack does 10 damage to itself. Now, while both of these Mankeys have 60 health, and can easily be one-shotted by Dragapult, moving damage counters around, you're probably going to want Luxurious Escape in here, because it's just like a Alligator deck where you're going to want Luxurious Escape. So you put Luxurious Escape on it, it goes up from 60 to 160, but it becomes a 2-prizer. All the while, you can use the Scarlet Violet Mankey to 30 and then to 10 damage to itself, or you can use the Mankey one to use Thrash, 20 plus. Flip a coin. If Tails' attack does 20 damage to itself, if Head's attack does 20 more damage. So you can evolve one of your Annihilates from Scarlet Violet base set Mankey to do 30 damage, or do 10 damage to itself with Luxury Escape on, or you can use the one from Mutia from the 151 to either do 40 damage or 20 and put 20 damage on yourself. Either way, you're benefiting yourself, because the Annihilate needs this damage counters on itself, all the while you're wanting to do maximum amount of damage. Now, I thought of what a spec I was going to use. I think Grand Tree is the best, because you're able to get Annihilate out there, because Precious Trolley, Annihilate, because the Alligator had a way to switch out one of your bench Pokemon. Annihilate doesn't, because Primeape is actually the opposite of Crocodile, because what Annihilate does, or what Primeape does is I'm using one from Destined Rivals right here. It's Drag Off, takes 1 fighting energy, and it says switching one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. This attack does 30 damage to the new active. So Annihilate's move does 120 damage to the new active Pokemon. Now, while Crocodile does new damage to the the active Pokemon, but switches out with a bench with one of your bench Pokemon. The Primeape does the exact opposite, where it switches out one of your opponent's bench Pokemon while doing 30 damage to it, which I think is probably better because I have cards such as Ogerpon Cornerstone, because one, it takes fighting, and two, it's a Terra, so it can't be attacked from the bench, and it can't be hit by Pokemon with abilities. Now there's another card there's a couple more cards in here that I haven't said yet, but pretty much Ogerpon has one retreat cost, so you can put Rescue Ball on him, call it a day, and it has free retreats. Nilape has 2 retreat cost. So while it put Rescue Board on it, you're gonna still need 1 energy. You're not gonna put Rescue Board on Nilape. You're gonna put Luxurious Cape on it. And while yeah, it's 2 retreat cost. If I remember correctly, Feraligatr has 3 retreat cost. Which means if you want to retreat him easily, you're gonna have to put Rescue Board on Feraligatr and retreat the 2 energies he has on him. Nilape, you can put Luxurious Cape on him, and then since Nilape takes 2 fighting energy to do 160, not including the ability effect, you can just retreat those. You can just take off those 2 fighting energies, put them on the bench, throw out Ogerpon with a Rescue Board, and put a fighting energy on him for turn, and you're able to attack with them again. So Nilape is, I feel like, better than Feraligatr because he has more support considering of the rotation. But I feel like if I can build this deck, a Nilape can become the new Feraligatr. And if people don't know, Feraligatr was a rogue deck that made it, I think it was either it was like top 3 in a nationals. I even think it won a regionals, or it won a regionals. I think got top 3 nationals. So pretty much the difference though is that for Alligator you can have 3 Monkey Doors on your bench and move, or no, all you really need is 2 Monkey Doors on the bench to move those 5 damage counters from Feraligatr to one of your Pokemon, to your opponent's active Pokemon, and then proceed to do 280, right? Yeah, 280 with Feraligatr, even though you can't attack next turn. That's knocking out almost any Pokemon in the game. It actually does knock out every Pokemon in the game, I think, unless Pokemon has 350 or higher health, it knocks out every Pokemon in the game. So, and those good. Annihilate does 280 while having to keep the damage counters on him. So I really hesitated about putting Monkey Dory in here because I might accidentally move damage counters off of my Nilape, but I put only 1 in here. Where'd he go? I think I lost him. No, I found him. But I put him in there in case my opponent uses him like Dragapult and uses the 6 damage counters onto my my bench Mankey or my bench Nilape. I can move 30 damage counters from Nilape to the active Dragapult, and I could send an Nilape back out and proceed to do what is it, the 280, or if I wanted to, I could use the Primeape's move to switch in one of his bench Pokemon to the active spot and do 150 to that Pokemon, which might knock out, where I can take either 1 or 2 prize cards, and then he can throw his Dragapult and take 2 prize cards if I have Luxurious Cape on. Now that's where the thing comes in. Annihilate is less bulky and kind of does the same amount of damage as Feraligatr did, which is why I have EX Pokemon here. I have only 2 EX Pokemon, but I have Ogerpon here, like I said, because since this is really only a fighting deck, it has 1 Darkness energy and I think it was 9 fighting energy. You're able to attach those fighting energies to Ogerpon to use a Demolish move to do 140, and it says this attack's damage isn't affected by weakness or resistance or by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So that means it can go through Ogerpon, but it could also do 140 to a Dragapult, and a Dragapult could probably just knock it out. And since I have Annihilape on the bench, he could try and knock out my Annihilape, but then I could just throw Annihilape back. Like, I just throw an Annihilape out there and hit for 280. Now, let's say my Ogerpon is benched, or my Ogerpon is prized, or I just can't get to my Ogerpon, and my opponent has a real, I'm able to knock out my opponent, and let's say he has another Ogerpon out there, right? But I can't use Ogerpon because he's prized or in my deck, and I can't have no way to get to him. And my Annihilapes and my Relicanth are not able to knock it out. Here's when my second EX comes in, where I am playing the Iron Boulder from Temporal Forces, where he does Repulsor Axe, where I can do 60, and during my next turn, if he is damaged, I put 8 damage counters on him, which then, when I do that, because of that, hold on, there we go. When I do that, he takes 8 damage, even if he tries to hit me, or I can just bottom move Power Stomp to discard 2 energy from him and do 200. Now, Iron Boulder, I also put in 1 tool card, which is the Future Booster Energy, which is going to work because then he goes from 3 retreat cost to no retreat cost, and he does do what was it? Quite a lot of energy. Does do 20 more damage. Now hold on. Okay, so yeah, Ogerpon. Okay, no, I was on top of Iron Boulder. Iron Boulder does 220, discard 2 energies, or I can use top move to do 80, and then my opponent decides to attack. Takes another 8 damage on him, so meaning 160 damage, which is very good. Then I can just come in with Annihilate, use Mankey's bottom move, use Mankey's move to just knock it out, to knock out whatever. And while Ogerpon, yes, I can't attack with Ogerpon. Ogerpon will be left with like a little bit more HP, so he just probably won't be able to attack. And if I don't want to do that and I just want to win because I have like 2 prize cards left, I hit for his bottom move to one-shot Ogerpon and take a prize card. And now the thing is coming from stage 2 Pokemon, because, how I said, the Grand Tree is probably the best in this deck. There is a downside to that, and that is because he is a fighting type. So Gardevoir he's weak to, which is a stage 2. But then also, Dragapult is probably the best card in the meta right now. And it's a stage 2. Even Charizard is stage 2, and he can one-shot an Annihilate. So that's where my thing comes in, is Annihilate that good? My answer is yes. Because when we have Ogerpon in here, like, Annihilate is a fighting type. And a lot of good cards that aren't meta, but there's good as support, or just other damage dealing, or just, stalling cards, are fighting Pokemon. A lot of good basic Pokemon are fighting Pokemon too. Like I said, Iron Boulder or Ogerpon. But a card I have in here is Noctowl because of Ogerpon, and I put Noctowl in here because if Ogerpon is out there on the field, I use Noctowl, and if I don't have Annihilate, if I can't get Annihilate out and I have Iron Boulder or Ogerpon, if I have Iron Boulder and Ogerpon on the field, I can use Grand Tree to get Noctowl, search my deck for Buddy Poffin, and then, what is it? Or I can use it to get like Ultra Ball or Counter Catcher or Night Stretcher or Rescue Board. Just any 2 trainer cards to get out Annihilate. And now I did say I have Artisan here. Who doesn't have Artisan? Very good to get your bench set up. Now the I don't have this deck completed, but the Annihilate line is going to be a 3/3/3. Mainly with, I have all 3 main keys I'm going to use. Cause I feel like the addition of 151 main key and taking out having only 2 Scarlet Violets and 151 main key is actually pretty good. But I have 2 Primeapes and 2 Annihilates right now. I need 1 more of Primeape and Annihilate, and then the Pokemon are ready. Now, the trainer cards, I have Switches, Briares, yes I said Briars, or Briares. I have Youngsters, Sacred Ash, Buddy Poffins, Boss's Orders, Ultra Balls, Counter Catchers, like I said, Artisan. I'll have Night Stretchers, Rescue Boards, Evolutions, TM, Nest Ball. I have only 1, but I'm gonna find more. I even have a Cyrano in here. All those are supposed to help out get my bench set up and taking more price cards, because this deck runs into a huge problem, and those 2 problems I would have to say. There's one problem with this deck, and that is energy acceleration. Because I don't have a Crispin in here. That is mainly because I only have 1 Dark Energy, and the rest are fighting. So if my Dark Energy is prized, I can only get 1 energy thanks to Crispin. While 1 Crispin might not be bad, I just felt like I had better options like Briere for my Ogre Pod, and Briere is not bad. But the next option is probably damage, because damage dealing, because Dragapult is probably going to do all it can to get rid of Annihilate, because I can easily throw in Iron Boulder. He lives with 40. He does 60 to my Annihilate, which boosts up Annihilate, so I can use Annihilate's 220 with Future Booster, or just 200 to discard 2 energy, so I got that. But then the thing is, I don't even think I have a card that gets, okay, I have 2 Night Stretchers in here, but that's it, 2 Night Stretchers. And that's why I kind of have Rescue Board in here, because it limits down the amount of energy that I have to use to retreat, because I already have, Iron Boulder discarding energies. That's really all I have that's really all the Pokemon I have that discard energies. But my Annihilate, my main attacker, might accidentally knock itself out due to needing damage counters on him. And because of that, I'm going to need to have probably Relicanth out. If I already have Annihilate out, I'm gonna have to have Relicanth out to use Mankey's move to put damage counters on me. But if I use the Scarlet Violet move, I only do 30 damage, because 1, it only puts 10 damage counters on me, and 2, even if it did 2 damage counters on me, I have to wait another turn, because that is the after effect of it. It doesn't say before you attack, put a damage counter, put 1 damage counter on this Pokemon. But this Pokemon does 10 damage to itself. That would be a lot better, but with it doing only 10 damage, I'm gonna need to do another whole turn of damaging myself with Mankey's to finally be able to do the 120. And by then, my opponent has any hard-hitting meta deck, any hard-hitting card, it does like 200 out, or no, probably gonna be like 150 at maximum. It's able to 2-shot Annihilate, not even with Luxurious Cape. Without Luxurious Cape, it 1-shots if it does 150, at least. So that's where the trouble runs into, because one, my opponent might have 100 damage dealing card, and while I survived that by 3 turns, I'm putting damage on myself to make sure Annihilate attacks well. And that's kind of why I have Monkey Dory in here, because I need only 2 damage counters. So if I do more damage counters to myself, or if my opponent does more damage counters to Annihilate, I can use Monkey Dory to transfer those energies to one of my opponents. And if I do that, let's say I'm going against a Dragapult. I'm using Dragapult a lot because I absolutely hate going against that deck because it's so good. I only went against like 3 times on the online, but let's say Dragapult, right? I'm going against that card. It has 320 HP. I use the let's say I have Annihilate on the bench and Monkey Dory on the bench as well, just a random card up front. And let's say I don't attack with that because I can't. He does 200 to the card with 60 on my Annihilate. Let's say it's an Ogerpon up front, or he does 200 to me, I still live, and he does like 60 to my Annihilate, or he does, let's say, 30 to my Annihilate and 30 to my Monkey Dory, or 20, 40, you get the idea. I move those 30 damage cards from Annihilate onto the opposing Dragapult, who's now down to 290. I then retreat, because I most likely will have Rescue Board, or I could just use a switch into Annihilate to then hopefully have 2 fighting energy attached to him. And if I even do that, he has at least 20 damage counters on him still. I then do, was it 280? Now there's a big chance my opponent does 40 damage onto Annihilate and 20 damage onto my Monkey Dory. Then yeah, I'm kind of screwed, because I can either take the 30 damage from Annihilate, transfer it to Dragapult. I only do 160 on maximum, unless I'm probably going to put Venture Bomb in, Team Rock's Venture Bomb, because it can help me out. But I don't have one in here right now because I don't have one. Let's say I don't have Venture Bomb in my hand. I can either move the 30 damage cards from Annihilate and do 10 and have 10 on him. I'm 10 damage shy away. Or I can move the 20 damage cards from Monkey Dory onto Dragapult, only taking away 20 instead of 30, in which I will be doing 300 damage to him in 1 turn. So that's kind of where I run into a gap. All the other decks, I feel like I have a good matchup. I have not built this deck on TCG Live, and I have not, therefore I have not practiced with it until I get the 333 line of all of them. Until I get all the cards for this deck, that's kind of, I'm not gonna be using it, but I got kind of. Dragapult does bad against. Gardevoir does bad against because I'm weak to it. Except for Ogerpon, but... Well, no, Iron Boulder's also not weak to it, so I think I have a chance. I think everyone but Annihilate is weak, well, except for the Annihilate line, because I just realized Monkey and Primate put the same typing. But everyone except for the Annihilate line in this deck is not weak to Psychic. But with Annihilate being my main attacker, it's... I go against Screamtail, and they put Ancient Booster Energy on it because I feel like that's best for Screamtail, not Bravery Charm, Screamtail, or Ancient Booster. But they do that, they get 190 health, and they get, they do 30 damage, and they get 18 damage counters on them. That's already broken. Again, my Annihilate's already done for, which, if they do that, that's kind of stupid, because I'll probably have Iron Boulder out there, or Ogerpon, or just even Noctowl. Because everyone in this deck, except for Monkey Dory, and I have Tatsugiri in here just because of draw support, for supporters. Everyone else in here can attack. So it's mainly a deck where everyone can attack, but Annihilate is my main attacker. Kind of like Feraligatr, where it was a water, dark, and luminous, to where Mimikyu and Monkey Dory could attack. Mainly it was for alligator attacking. Basically the same thing for Annihilate, except I have no Luminous and I only have 1 Dark Energy. So it's basically the dead ends of it, but my strategy here is I'm trying to get Annihilate better. Annihilate has had no TCG attention at all, because all the other ones either do more damage because he has damage counters on them, but they're all EXs, or other cards do more damage for each prize card your opponent has taken, or it knocks out both Pokemon. And while those all sound really good on paper, Annihilate doesn't really. Annihilate has always been a single prize except for that one in like Obsidian Flames, but I don't even know what it does. I think all it does is do more damage counters for each damage counter on it. I think it does more damage for each damage counter on it, yeah. But I think that's the only EX he has. Annihilate is a really cool Pokemon. One of my favorite fighting types, probably my favorite ghost type, aside from Dragapult. Dragapult just looks cool, but I hate going against him in like TCG. But Annihilate is probably my favorite fighting type, probably my favorite ghost type, and my favorite fighting ghost type. Marshadow is creeping right behind him. I did want to get this out as soon as possible because this does become a good deck. I want to start using it as possible, like quick as possible, and I want you guys to try and like let me know what kind of cards would help it out. I wanted this deck to be good, so I'm using Eternatus sleeves. There's a backstory behind Eternatus sleeves, not Eternatus, but Eternatus sleeves. But that's there for another video because I'm already 32 minutes in and I gotta edit this whole thing. So if you guys got any like helpful ideas for cards, please let me know. I'm going to be probably responding to all comments unless this video gets huge, like it gets popular. Probably might not, but let's say it does and there's like 152 comments, just keep going on. I might not be able to reply to every comment, but I'm gonna try and reply to most of them. And if it's like 10 comments in the comment section, I'm going to reply to every single one. But yeah, so far I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 52 cards in this deck. I don't have 16 Pokemon. I have 14 Pokemon in this deck right now. 10 energies, and the rest are trainers. I don't know what to do when I get the last 2. I don't know what to put in for my next 6. So please let me know what would be there, what would go good with those. And yeah, I think that's it for this whole thing. Trying to get it out as soon as possible. And who knows, maybe you guys might make some better decks with it. But yes, so far this is how it's turned out.